pick is in.
Oh, no. I've never been so nervous in my
You
life.
guys ready for the Bears pick? Here it is. The Bears, at number 10 overall, have selected Tennessee offensive tackle Darnell Wright.
I'm cool with that. I like that. So that confirms what I told you.
Yes, sir.
Yep.
About Braxton Jones, them feeling good about him as the left tackle. So I am fine with it. I told you, Darnell Wright is Trent Williams on the right side. His athleticism, his strength, he's a savvy vet already. He snatches people down on the backside cutoff blocks. He does that hug reach around that the referees can't see it. Great run blocker. I love this pick. He's been one of my favorites here.
I just love that violence, that tenacity that he plays with. He has that nasty that we've always heard about Ryan Poles wanting to bring for this offensive line. A lot of power. And he's like we talked about, plug and play right tackle, and we don't have to overthink it.
Exactly. Will Anderson against him, he locked him down. He locked down a bunch of other people in the SEC. He is ready to go day one. I love this pick. Unbelievable athleticism for his size.
Yes, here's the skinny on Darnell Wright, 6'5", just a shade over 6'5", 335, big physical mauler, great hands. When he locks on, you're done, Woot. Sorry.
Yep.
He's got you with those hands.
Yeah.
Now, I thought he was a little bit inconsistent early on in Senior Bowl week, but I thought he improved as the week went along. And really, when you go back and watch the tape, when you play that well against Will Anderson, when you play that well against Walker last year, that really matters. Now, he doesn't. We talked about the offense a little bit early on in the show. There's not a ton of experience here in a wide zone scheme, and that will probably be some of the adjustment. But
the athleticism,
playing right tackle, the athleticism, he's plenty athletic, and I do wonder about him being somewhat of a one-year wonder at Tennessee. Like, it took him a while to build up, and it wasn't until he switched to the right side that he really took off, in my opinion. But I like when players get better. I want you to play better your last year than the year before that. And some of these other prospects on the board, it's the opposite.
The more and more tape I watched of him, like you said, as the season went on, he was unbelievable. I mean, just his sets. Nobody beat him off the edge. Nobody could power him. Nobody could bull him. His run blocking was unbelievable. This is a guy that I think will be a Pro Bowler in his first year. Mark my words. I really feel that great about him. I think he is.
Wow.
He is that talented.
Okay, so
he reminds me a lot of Trent Williams. Like I said, the athleticism is unreal. And you think about when he's with a pro-style scheme, especially what Luke Getsy is running, he is really going to flourish. Justin Fields loved this pick. And like I said, Poles is saying like this: I have to have the offensive line solidified. I'm this offensive line guru. I have to know everything I have from Justin Fields, and that's what he did there. So that's why I wasn't surprised with the offensive line pick.
Pro Bowler, rookie.
I do.
Woot.
I do. So Woot's optimism is carrying me at this very moment. But first of all, I'd like to say a couple things. Number one, you're Adam Hoge. You've been banging the drum for Skoronski. He's sitting there.
Yeah.
They just took a guy who is really pigeonholed into one position on the offensive line, and you overdrafted him, I think, by most people's accounts, right?
We talked about this. Remember, yesterday, this was my pick. This was the pick I ultimately decided it would be Darnell Wright. I felt strongly that the Bears liked him a lot. Yeah. I thought that they would want to trade back before they got him. Ideally, you want to trade probably farther back than they did, but you can't control if teams are calling you or not. I mean,
exactly.
It's just
because if you trade it back and then you miss the opportunity to get him or Skoronski, then you feel bad about that. But he's going to be a day one starter, so getting him top 10, that's not reaching by any means. Like I said, I think he will be a Pro Bowl caliber player.
And again, the guy did not give up a sack last year. He allowed only 8 pressures all season. He's enormous. He's an athlete. He fits perfectly for what they need. There's a lot of things to like here. I also think that when you look at what happened here, getting him there, you move back one spot, you passed on Jalen Carter, you got a 4th-round pick next year. It would have been a lot sexier if they had been able to move back to 15, 16, got a lot more value, and gotten your guys. That didn't happen. It's not the worst thing that's ever happening in the history of the Bears, but it feels a little bit empty to me.
I mean, he was number 10 on our big board. They got him at number 10. I think the value aligns pretty damn well right there. I want to mention that the Senior Bowl probably played a big part of this because Luke Getsy was the head coach of the American team Darnell Wright played on the American team and was voted as the practice player of the week for the offensive line that week for that team. So that
That's a great
has
point.
to carry a ton of weight right here tonight.
And you talked about in the one-on-ones, right? I saw at times he struggled a little bit. But when you look at the tape in the actual games and the Senior Bowl game and the 11-on-11 action, he didn't let up many pressures. He didn't let up many sacks. So in the one-on-one drill, that's pin your ears back. It's really in the favor of defensive linemen. So I take that with a grain of salt. When he was on the 11-11, when you run pass combo, he did really well. So that's why I'm not taking that one-on-one stuff, and holding that with major weight.
Well, and that's an important point because, as we've mentioned a couple times, it's a little hard to watch Tennessee's offense and really pinpoint the reps that matter. So what Woot just said is the reps that matter, what he's talking about. And so now I want to make it clear, I'm not flipping here. I would have taken Skoronski. I would, but I like both of these guys.
Yeah.
I mean, these were my top two offensive linemen, and they were still there. It was Skoronski and it was Darnell Wright. I think it was a very good pick. Be fascinating to see how this plays out going forward. I think I would say that Skoronski's a little bit safer, but I would certainly listen to any argument that says that Wright will have a higher ceiling. And plus, you can't draft a Packer fan, right?
That's what I was talking about months ago. Never made sense.
But Poles, he likes Braxton Jones. He wants him to do well. We kind of knew that from how him going after Mike McGlinchey in free agency.
That's a true story right there.
So the Darnell Wright pick, I think was a for sure thing.
Well, and
it is official now. That's why you're hearing the cheers here at Joe's. Darnell Wright is a Bear.
it also speaks to their offseason, Woot, that they were targeting McGlinchey.
Yep. And people talking here, why a right tackle that high? Look at Lane Johnson. Look what he's been able to do for Jalen Hurts and the Eagles.
Yeah, Penny Sewell.
Yeah, Penny Sewell as well from Detroit in our division. Right tackles matter too, right?
Yep.
Right tackles do matter.
We have a poll up right now, and I'm curious of the results, Lawrence. The question is basically asking you to grade the trade back and picking of Darnell Wright.
Ain't going to be high.
You don't think so? You don't think fans are high on this?
I think everybody wanted Jalen Carter.
Let's hear what the poll results are.
It's very early. It's only been up for 4 minutes, obviously. We're at 400 votes. 42% of the people are giving us an A for the trade back / selection of Darnell Wright.
Okay.
I like it.
B is at 41%. C, 11%, and D or worse is only 7%. So take that, Carm.
Okay. People, hey.
Even at 9, he was the pick. The guy that's going to be day one starter, that's not a reach. That's not anything. He was there at 9. You pick him at 9.
Yep.
I think he was a for sure pick at the right side. I know Justin Fields is going to be happy about that.
Hey, Justin Fields got a number 1 wide receiver and a starting right tackle in this draft.
The one thing I do hope is Braxton Jones followed the David Bakhtiari plan. Right after your first year when you struggled against the bull rushes, you got in the weight room, you really got stronger and anchored. Because Braxton Jones didn't get beat around the edge by speed. It was the bull rushes. Sweat and company, bowled him, powered him. So hopefully he really focused on that power training this offseason.
One more note I just want to add real quick, too, that Ryan Poles, since his arrival in Chicago, has not really heavily invested in the offensive line. You haven't seen any large contracts. Last year, no high draft picks invested in it. So for him to take an offensive lineman in the top 10 of the draft, I think should carry a lot of weight to Bears fans of like how much conviction he has in his player and how much he believes he is a blue chipper for this franchise.
And can I tell you guys one thing? People would have loved the Paris Johnson pick with this, right? Paris Johnson is not as polished as Wright. Right? Wright is I can make an argument that he's more athletic than Paris Johnson. I could. He is that athletic. He's bigger. He has the proof in the pudding. Look at Houston did to get Will Anderson. He locked him down. So I think I don't understand why people are upset with this pick. I think he's a better right tackle than Paris Johnson would have been.
So, and then yesterday we do the show and we're walking out and I get a text saying that the Bears are, if depending on who falls down, the two guys they're looking at are Darnell Wright and Lucas Van Ness. And so from that point on, I've been saying they're going to pick Darnell Wright because you got to help the offense.
Now, I have an important question for you.
Yeah.
I told you on the show about 30 minutes before you got the text that the Bears were going to pick Darnell Wright, but that didn't carry as much weight. It was the text you got. It took an extra text. My opinion didn't matter.
So I don't.
Is that what you're telling me?
He doesn't want to listen to us. So.
You didn't tell me that, like, my information upon further.
Your response, your literal response to what I said was, "What does Hoge know?" Go back and listen to the tape.
Well, exactly. So I did give you respect.
We're on the same
If
page,
I said that,
Man, this is disrespect right now.
Well, hold on a second. Then I gave you a respect in the moment, which you deserved, and then
you immediately forgot about it.
And then I forgot about it. But then I also got this, and then I said, "Where is this?"
You got a second source. I like it.
I did.
It's good reporting by you.
Well, and then I asked where it was coming from, and it was coming from inside that good old Hallis Hall. So it just felt real that they were going to draft Darnell Wright. In my mind, between those two, because how could you can't go up there and say Lucas Van Ness right now for the Bears.
That would have been an ultimate boo-worthy.
Yeah, we all kind of soured on Van Ness. A couple notes I want to share with you real quick. Kevin Fishbane, who might be watching ESPN's coverage, tweeted that Louis Riddick said on Darnell Wright, quote, has the ability to be the best player in the draft.
There we go.
The best player in the draft. Also, Peter Skronsky to the Titans at number 11. Peter Skronsky off the board. So that's what's fascinating about this. Jalen Carter and Skronsky sandwiching Darnell Wright here. Yeah. It's going to be interesting to watch over the years how that plays out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
But look, I love all three of the players. So I think, quite frankly, I think it's a great fit for Philly to get Carter where they got him. They gave up a future fourth rounder. I guess that's my only gripe with getting Darnell Wright was I guess my hope was, and I kind of had an inkling that was going to be the pick, that they would end up with a little bit more draft capital than just a future fourth rounder out of it. But you know what? You can't, and we see in the comments, you could have gotten more. Well, you can't, or they would have.
But look at this offensive line right now. Darnell Wright, Tevin Jenkins. I know people are questionable about Lucas Patrick at center, but I feel good about him.
Well, he's going to be the backup, I think.
He's going to be the backup.
Cody White's going to move to
Cody
Whitehair's going to go to center. Nate Davis is your right guard. Tevin moves to the left side.
Yep.
And then Braxton Jones. I mean, I think it's better.
I think that's a lot better.
Might not be perfect, but it's better.
No, I think it's a completely upgraded offensive line, and putting Justin Fields around talent finally. Now he can have a little time to breathe.
What can the upgrades of Nate Davis at right guard and Darnell Wright at right tackle do for Justin Fields in the sense that we talk about blind side a lot, but that's the side you're looking at first.
Exactly.
And you have, what can that do like just mentally for him knowing that that's locked down?
Just give him a breath of fresh air. Last year, no offense to Larry Borum by any means, but he was getting beat constantly. Justin Fields had to get outside the pocket. He had to scramble to the other side because of the pressure on that side. So he's going to be able to sit back there and dissect this defense of what's going on and be able to read it. And then in the run game, Davis is an absolute road grader. Darnell Wright as well. The strength, lower body strength in particular. So they're really going to run to that side as well. So it's completely upgraded on that side. Justin Fields, I know he's watching this like, thank you. I appreciate you guys. He's definitely excited about this.